Okay, creepypasta. It's been around for as long as I can fucking remember, and it's got its peak popularity in 2010 when it was covered by the New York Times. That's right, I kid you fucking not! The biggest newspaper in all of America covered a story on fucking creepypasta. So, once again, thanks, New York. It also gained mainstream media attention in 2014 when two 12-year-old girls stabbed another 12-year-old girl hoping to please Slenderman. Because that's normal! So what I'm going to do is help stuff like this not ever happen again. I'm going to be taking a look at some of the most favorited creepypasta on the internet and ripping them to shreds. Now I've got a little disclaimer for you. These videos are not meant to insult anyone unless you happen to believe creepypasta are real, in which case, prepare yourself for hell brought to you by yours truly, the internet. I'm not going to start small either. I looked after list, after list, after list of top creepypasta and I found that Jeff the Killer was ranked #1 by most people. So, here's my review of Jeff the Killer. Ooh.
Excerpt from a local newspaper. Ominous unknown killer is still at large. After weeks of unexplained murders, the ominous unknown killer is still on the rise. After little evidence has been found, a young boy states that he survived one of the killer's attacks and bravely tells his story. "I had a bad dream and I woke up in the middle of the night," said the boy. "I saw that for some reason the window was open, even though I thought I had remembered closing it before I went to bed. I got up and shut it once more. Afterwards, I simply crawled under my covers and tried to get back to sleep. That's when I had a strange feeling, like someone was watching me. I looked up and nearly jumped out of my bed. There, in the little ray of light, illuminating from between my curtains, were a pair of two eyes. These weren't regular eyes, they were dark, ominous eyes."
This is supposed to be a young boy. Not a man, a young boy. He shouldn't know words like illuminating and ominous. They're just not words that young children are gonna fucking know.
They were bordered in black and just plain out terrified me. That's when I saw his mouth, a long, horrendous smile that made every hair on my body stand up. The figure stood there, watching me. Finally, after what seemed like forever, he said it. A simple phrase, but said it in a way only a madman could speak. He said, "Go to sleep." I let out a scream. That's what sent him at me. He pulled a knife, aiming at my heart.
I find how, even though he just said, just a second ago, that he could barely see his outline, even though he didn't really say that, he said he could see him in just the smallest ray of light, all of a sudden now he can tell directly where his knife is aimed. Even if I had great light, I would still be stressed to the point where, like, I don't really know what's going on. I definitely can't tell where someone is going to stab me.
He jumped on top of my bed. I fought him back. I kicked. I punched. I rolled around trying to knock him off of me. That's when my dad busted in. The man threw the knife. It went to my dad's shoulder. The man probably would have finished him off if the neighbors hadn't alerted the police. They drove into the parking lot and ran towards the door.
You mean to tell me that in the approximately 5 to 10 minutes it would take for a police officer to arrive at the scene of a domestic disturbance, the killer wouldn't have walked up to the dad, who was probably on the ground in pain, taken the knife out, and stabbed him a few more hundred times and then finished the boy off? Is he like the slowest murderer in the world? It didn't seem like that when he leapt onto his bed at quick-like speeds.
The man ran down the hallway. I heard a smash like glass breaking. As I came out of my room, I saw the window that was pointing towards the back of my house was broken. I looked out it to see him vanish into the distance.
So, what? He's a ninja now?
I will never forget that face. Those cold, evil eyes and that psychotic smile. They will never leave my head. Police are still on the look for this man. If you see anyone that fits the description of the story, please contact your local police department.
Notice they said local. Local. If you want someone to call the police, all you have to do is tell them to dial 911 because it'll automatically go to a local operator. That's all you have to fucking do. But enough of that crap. Let's get into the real story. The story of Jeff and his family. Can't wait to dive into this.
Jeff and his family had just moved into a new neighborhood. His dad had gotten a promotion at work, and they thought it would be best to live in one of those fancy neighborhoods. Jeff and his brother Leo couldn't complain though. A new, better house. What was not to love? As they were getting unpacked, one of their neighbors came by. "Hello," she said. "I'm Barbara. I live across the street from you." "Well, I just wanted to introduce myself and introduce my son." She turns around and calls her son over. "Billy, these are our new neighbors." Billy said hi and ran to play in his yard. "Well," said Jeff's mom, "I'm Margaret, and this is my husband Peter and my two sons Jeff and Leo." They introduced themselves, and then Barbara invited them to her son's birthday. Jeff and his brother were about to object when their mother said that they would love to. When Jeff and his family were done packing, Jeff went up to his room. "Mom, why would you invite us to some kid's party? If you haven't noticed, I'm not some dumb kid." "Jeff," said his mother, "we just moved here. We should know that we want to spend time with our neighbors. Now, we're going to the party, and that's final." Jeff started to talk, but stopped himself, knowing that he couldn't do anything. Whenever his mom said something, it was final. He walked up to his room and plopped down on his bed. He sat there looking at his ceiling when suddenly he got a weird feeling. Not so much pain, but a weird feeling. He dismissed it as some random feeling. He heard his mother call him down to get his stuff, and he walked down to get it.
Ooh, looks like we got some spooky foreshadowing here. Ooh.
The next day, Jeff walked downstairs to get breakfast and got ready for school. As he sat there eating his breakfast, he once again got that feeling. This time it was stronger. It gave him a slight tugging pain, but he once again dismissed it.
More foreshadowing!
As he and Leo finished breakfast, they walked down to the bus stop. They sat there waiting for the bus, and then, all of a sudden, some kid on a skateboard jumped over them only inches from their laps. They both jumped back in surprise. "Hey, what the hell?" The kid landed and turned it back to them. He kicked the skateboard up and caught it with his hands. The kid seemed to be about 12, 1 year younger than Jeff. He wears an Aeropostale shirt and ripped blue jeans.
So let's see if I can do this right. If my calculations are correct, 12 minus 1 is 11. So Jeff is 11 years old when this story takes place. We'll get back to that.
Well, 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 it looks like we've got some new meat. Suddenly, two other kids appeared. One was super skinny and the other was huge. "Well, since you're here, I'd like to introduce ourselves. Over there is Keith." Jeff and Leo looked over to the skinny kid. He had a dopey face that you would expect a sidekick to have. "And he's Troy." They looked over at the fat kid. Talk about a tub of lard. This kid looked like he hadn't been exercising since he was crawling.
So, if he's as fat as they really say he is, wouldn't they have been able to hear him come? He wouldn't have just suddenly appeared. They would have heard the boom, 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 boom.
"And I," said the first kid, "am Randy. Now for all the kids in this neighborhood, there is a small price for the bus fare, if you catch my drift." Leo stood up, ready to punch the lights out of the kid's eyes when one of his friends pulled a knife on him.
Hold on. When one of his friends pulled a knife on him. A knife. Why, who's parenting these kids, and why would they let them go to school with knives? Knives? Of all things? Not knives. Knives.
"I had hoped you would be more cooperative, but it seems we must do this the hard way." The kid walked up to Liu and took his wallet out of his pocket. Jeff got that feeling again. Now it was truly strong, a burning sensation. He stood up, but Liu gestured him to sit down. Jeff ignored him and walked up to the kid. Listen here, you little punk. Give my bro's wallet back or else. Randy put the wallet in his pocket and pulled out his own knife.
What?
Oh, and what will you do? Just as he finished the sentence, Jeff popped the kid in the nose. As Randy reached for his face, Jeff grabbed the kid's wrist and broke it. Randy screamed and Jeff grabbed the knife from his hand. Troy and Keith rushed Jeff, but Jeff was too quick. He threw Randy to the ground. Keith lashed at him, but Jeff ducked and stabbed him in the arm. Keith dropped his knife and fell to the ground screaming. Troy rushed him too, but Jeff didn't even need the knife. He just punched Troy straight in the stomach and Troy went down. As he fell, he puked all over. Liu could do nothing but look at Jeff in amazement. Jeff, how'd you... That was all he said. They saw the bus coming and they knew they'd be blamed for the whole thing. So they started running as fast as they could. As they ran, they looked back and saw the bus driver rushing over to Randy and the others. As Jeff and Liu made it to school, they didn't dare tell what happened. All they did was sit and listen. Liu just thought of that his brother beating up a few kids, but Jeff knew it was more. It was something scary. As he got that feeling, he felt how powerful it was, the urge to just hurt someone. He didn't like how it sounded, but he couldn't help but feeling happy.
Now you see, right here we have an even balance of emotions. You have a dislike for something, then you have a liking for the exact same thing. They go hand in hand easily. It's not like they're mutually exclusive. Of course they're fucking mutually exclusive. You can't not like something and then like it at the exact same time.
He felt that strange feeling go away and stay away for the entire day of school. Even as he walked home due to the whole thing near the bus stop and how he probably wouldn't be taking the bus anymore, he felt happy. When he got home, his parents asked him how his day was, and he said, in a somewhat ominous voice, "It was a wonderful day." Next morning, he heard a knock at his front door. He walked down to find 2 police officers at the door, his mother looking back at him with an angry look. "Jeff, these officers told me that you attacked 3 kids, that it wasn't a regular fighting, and that they were stabbed." "Stabbed, son!" Jeff's gaze fell to the floor, showing his mother that it was true. "Mom, they were the ones who pulled the knives on me and Liu." "Son," said one of the cops, "we found 3 kids, 2 stabbed, 1 having a bruise on his stomach, and we have witnesses proving that you fled the scene. Now what does that tell us?" Jeff knew it was of no use. He could say him and Liu had been attacked, but there was no proof that it was not them who attacked first. They couldn't say that they weren't fleeing, because truth be told, they were. So Jeff couldn't defend himself or Liu. "Son, call down your brother." Jeff couldn't do it, since it was him who beat up all the kids. "Sir, it was me. I was the one who beat up the kids. Liu tried to hold me back, but he couldn't stop me." The cop looked at his partner and they both nod. "Well, kid, looks like a year in juvie." "Wait," says Liu. They all looked up to see him holding a knife. The officers pulled their guns and locked them on Liu. "It was me. I beat up those little punks. Have the marks to prove it." He lifted up his sleeves to reveal cuts and bruises, as if he was in a struggle.
Here's something else that I have a problem with. If the cops just looked at Liu, they would see that the cuts were obviously made by him. I mean, are they're just gonna be like, "Oh, he has cuts. Okay. He's got a knife in his hand. What do you think we should do? Arrest him? Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. We'll go get some weed after we get out of this. Yeah."
"Son, just put the knife down," said the officer. Liu held up the knife and dropped it to the ground. He put his hands up and walked over to the cops. "No, Liu, it was me. I did it." Jeff had tears running down his face. Poor bro, trying to take the blame for what I did. "Well, take me away." Police led Liu out to the patrol car. "Liu, tell them it was me. Tell them. I was the one who beat up those kids." Jeff's mother put her hands on his shoulders. "Jeff, please, you don't have to lie. We know it's Liu. You can stop." Jeff watched helplessly as the cop car speeds off with Liu inside.
Why did he do This is supposed to be a scary story. Why is it that I get more feels in this story than I do scares?